get started. First and foremost, can I get your first and last name? Spell that out for me and then your title.
I'm Alexandra Hall, AlexandraHall. I'm the Volunteer Development Director here at the Von Braun Astronomical Society.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about the Astronomical Society.
The Astronomical Society was founded as the Rocket City Astronomical Association in 1954. It was actually the endeavor of a high schooler, and he reached out to Von Braun. And there were a lot of very enthusiastic people in the town at that time, as you can imagine. And so they decided they would form an astronomical society.
Awesome. And with this Astronomical Society, you guys have been here for how long?
The society was founded in 1954, and they got together to build the observatory, which was opened in 1956. So actually the observatory has been here in Monte Sano State Park for a long time.
Awesome. And what would you say is Huntsville's reception to the Astronomical Society?
We really are part of the culture here in Huntsville. In fact, recently we were even mentioned on a Jeopardy question. So we decided at that point we truly made it.
Awesome. And I told you this before the interview, I'm from LA. I didn't even know that Huntsville had an observatory, let alone a planetarium. Can you just tell me, I know that when we think about STEM, we think about Alabama. How does that fit into Alabama's landscape?
The Astronomical Society has always been about reaching out into the community and inspiring others to develop a love for space and astronomy. In the 1960s, we opened this planetarium, and the planetarium provides shows every Saturday night. And we typically reach more than 5,000 people a year that come up here to the observatory and planetarium. They get to look at the night sky if it's clear, and they get to learn about space and astronomy with our planetarium. Our volunteer astronomers also go down into Huntsville on a regular basis. You can find us at schools for science fairs, you can find us festivals, and we also hold an annual astronomy day up here in the park.
Awesome. And two more questions for you. When it comes to you guys volunteering, reaching back into the youth, what type of reception do you get from children? I know that the space and the stars and all that can be so fascinating to children. What type of reception do they give you guys?
Space is up there alongside dinosaurs in terms of coolness factor, and so we usually never have any challenge in getting somebody excited to look through a telescope and see the rings of Saturn for the first time, or even just to see the craters on the moon.
Awesome. And you guys are a volunteer society. Two questions. When it comes to being a volunteer society, how do you guys find the courage to keep just doing what you guys do on a daily? Because I know that you guys can hit rough patches. I know you guys can hit little setbacks that, bigger societies or people who work with paid staff will face. But what joy do you find in just being here?
As a volunteer organization, we encourage and support each other, but to be honest, the reward for us is when we hear that gasp of amazement for somebody seeing something through a telescope for the first time, or indeed the questions that we get on a Saturday night planetarium show. That's what really makes it worthwhile. As a volunteer organization, we exist solely from the ticket sales for our planetarium, and also for some special event sales. We have homeschool groups that come up to the planetarium and private groups that will book the observatory. We've even had a wedding up here. So we can be quite creative in trying to find revenues to help pay for things, just the basic maintenance of facilities that are now approaching 70 years old can be pretty challenging.
Yeah, and speaking of that, you guys have a toilet, a restroom situation that you guys are hoping to get rectified soon. Can you talk a little bit about that?
When the facilities were built, the observatory was built in 1954, the plans were for a much, much grander facility with classrooms and wings, and we presume a larger toilet facility. But at the time, they just put a teeny tiny toilet in the bottom of the observatory, and that is the one that we still have. It is fine if there are just a few of us up here working on the telescopes or practicing planetarium shows. But on a Saturday night when we can have 75 or more people up here, the line gets pretty long. That toilet is not ADA accessible, and it's pretty hard if you're wrangling children or you have any kind of mobility issues. So one of the things that we would dearly love to do from a visitor comfort perspective is to improve our toilet situation. It's not sexy, but we believe that if you're going to be truly comfortable looking at the universe, you need to not be worrying about when you're going to go.
True. And I know you said there could be a line. Is there anything that you guys are doing in the temporary times to kind of keep that from happening, or is this just your only guys' option just for it to be a line and ask for patience?
So on Saturday nights at the moment, we just have the one restroom. When we do events up here, when we know we're going to have several hundred people on site, then we have bought up some porta pots. That's obviously not an ideal option, particularly in the winter because they're not heated. And also they don't typically tend to have lights in, so that can be a challenge when you're up here in the dark. So porta pots are not really the best idea. We're right on the edge of an outcropping here. We have a small septic. We're a long way from the main septic line in Montesano Park. So our options are pretty limited at this point without spending 6 figures.
Awesome. And I know that you guys, in the email, mentioned something about a funding campaign. You guys are used to doing funding campaigns, but this one is a little different. So what can people do to kind of help you guys push that along?
We've been lucky with a number of sponsors and funders here in the Huntsville area, the Jane Calo Foundation, Lockheed Martin, Jacobs, a number of others, who help us with our telescopes and our outreach programs. Finding money for STEM education is not trivial, but it's not hard. Finding the funds for somebody to help us to put in a semi-permanent toilet trailer, we're looking at 40 to 50,000 for something like that, and it's really not very sexy. So we have been canvassing the Huntsville community and saying, hey, does anybody have any creative ideas? Are there people out there that would like us to have better facilities, and are there people out there that could help us acquire the necessary facilities?
Awesome. And that is all I have. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention about the Astronomical Society, planetarium, anything that you would find useful?
Michael, what would you like us to mention?
Planetarium shows at 7:30.
Sure. Okay.
Membership is available online.
Can do that, yes. One of the easiest ways for people to support us is simply to come up here by 7:30 on a Saturday night and take part in one of our planetarium shows, buy a ticket. Buy a membership that enables you to get into our planetarium shows and our member meetings free all year round. You can also go to our website at vbas.org, and there is a donate button there too. So there are many ways in which you can help us with our goal to try and improve our facilities up here on the mountain. Because at the end of the day, if you're one of our visitors and you're up here for a lunar eclipse or some big event in the sky, you're going to appreciate it if you don't have to wait in line.
Awesome. And we are clear.